This is a KRQE Winter Weather Special, sponsored by Creamland Dairy.
Welcome to the KRQE News 13 Winter Weather Special. I'm Chief Meteorologist Grant Tostrud. Over the next half hour, we'll take a look at what you can expect this winter here in New Mexico, from when your city or town usually sees its first snowfall to a record-breaking start to this winter season, and how La Nina could impact the amount of snow we see, and of course, we'll have our winter forecast. But before we dive into what you can expect, let's go back and talk about what last winter was like. Here's meteorologist Josh Redwine.
Thanks, Grant. Winter last year came on the heels of what was one of the hottest and driest summers in New Mexico's recorded history. And that warmer and drier weather continued into the beginning of last winter, but it didn't stick around for long. A couple of winter storms finally brought snow to New Mexico around the middle of November, including a few inches of snow in the Albuquerque metro and over a foot in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. December continued this active trend with a couple of bigger winter storms, one that dropped almost 2 feet of snow in the northern mountains. January started out very active with widespread snow and very cold temperatures. A blizzard even hit northeast New Mexico with snow drifts over 4 feet deep. An Arctic outbreak brought dangerously cold temperatures across the state in the middle of January, and a strong winter storm brought Albuquerque's biggest snowfall of the season in the middle of February, even bringing 6 inches of snow down to Roswell. March continued to see more winter storms and high winds. Back-to-back storms brought feet of snow to the northern mountains, with as much as 40 inches of snow in the Taos Ski Valley, and over 2 feet at Ski Santa Fe. April saw only one significant snowstorm, dropping over a foot in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, before our weather started turning warmer, drier, and windier by May. Last winter's heavy snowfall even allowed ski areas to extend their ski season, with Ski Santa Fe measuring over 270 inches of snow. Grant, back to you.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to outdo last year's winter season, but some parts of New Mexico have already seen an impressive start to this winter. Meteorologist Ryan DePhillips has a look at when your town usually sees its first snowfall.
Thanks, Grant. And yeah, for some areas, we've already experienced the snowfall. Our average first snowfall in Albuquerque, November 27th. Our average first snowfall in Red River, October 17th. And places like Clayton, our average first snowfall November 13th. And they dealt with quite a bit of snow, even in Raton, our average first snowfall November 4th. Santa Fe, our average first snowfall November 14th, already off to a little bit of a snowy start this season. And in southern areas, a little bit later, as you would normally expect in Socorro, our average first snowfall December 2nd. At the TRC, December 21st. In Deming, January 2nd. And in places like Roswell, December 11th, our average first measurable snowfall. In Artesia on Christmas Day, December 25th. Back to you, Grant.
Thanks, Ryan. So most of the state usually sees their first snow in November or December, but how much snow does your town usually see over the whole winter? With a look at that, here's meteorologist Liz Fellinger.
Thank you, Grant. Now, New Mexico sees a wide range of snowfall totals, and that is due to our differences in elevation. Up in the mountains like Taos Ski Valley, they get about 300 inches a year, but down into the Albuquerque Metro and the Rio Grande Valley, only 7.9 is the average. Now, as we move further south, thanks to those warmer temperatures, we can expect lighter snowfall amounts, though we do still see higher amounts in those mountains. In the Sacramento Mountains of Ruidoso, 29.9 inches is on average, but into Roswell, we are only looking at 8.2 inches. Now, as we move even further south into Las Cruces, only 1.2 inches is expected on average. Back to you, Grant.
Thanks, Liz. Well, the New Mexico Department of Transportation held their first ever snowplow naming contest last year, and New Mexicans did not disappoint with their selections. Here are some of those names you can look forward to seeing out on the roads again this winter. For District 1, Sleetwood Mac and Snowplow Pia took the cake. Billy the Skid and That's All Slick will protect you from all that's slick in District 2. More Puns took over District 3 with Better Call Salt and Darth Blader. E.I. Snoha and Walter Whiteout for District 4. Snow Zobra will fight Old Man Winter in District 5 with some help from Bisque Snowchito. Lastly, Control Salt Delete and Mr. Snow-It-All in District 6. Well, coming up after the break, it has already been a record-breaking start to winter in parts of New Mexico. We'll show you that early winter storm and what's the difference between those winter weather alerts you hear us talk about. Stay with us. We'll be right back. KRQE Chief Meteorologist Grant Tostrud here, inviting you to sign up for our Educational Weather Academy program. If you would like us to come to your classroom, go to krqe.com, hit the Weather tab, then click on Weather Academy and the request button to get us to come to your school. New Mexico's already had a taste of winter weather this season, with a record-breaking snowstorm hitting parts of the state in early November, forcing road closures and knocking out power to people across New Mexico. Several inches of snow fell across the Albuquerque metro, blanketing areas with heavy, wet snow, leading to dangerous driving conditions, causing branches to fall, knocking out power for thousands.
I love it. I love the winter. I woke up early this morning and he sleeps in a little later than I do, so I was just pacing back and forth, waiting for him to get up to see all the snow on the trees that had just drooped all the branches down to the ground.
In other parts of New Mexico, the storm dropped over 30 inches of snow in Las Vegas, breaking a nearly 70-year-old snowfall record.
It started piling up more, so it kind of shocked me. And to be stuck at home for the first time in a while, not being able to get out, was kind of crazy.
The historic snowstorm not only broke records, but it was also a major boost for some local ski areas and resorts. A couple ski areas even opened up almost a month before their normal scheduled date, with places like Angel Fire getting as much as 43 inches of snow. That storm was a sharp transition from a record-breaking warm fall right into winter weather across New Mexico. Of course, we needed temperatures cold enough for snow, but depending on the air temperature just above the ground, we could see different types of winter precipitation. With that explanation, here's Ryan.
Thank you, Grant. And especially in the wintertime, almost all precipitation beneath the clouds starts off as snow. But with a lot of warm weather, especially below the kind of snowy layer beneath the cloud deck, you often get rain. But if you have a little bit of cold air at the surface, that rain can freeze right at the surface in the form of freezing rain. And then if you have a larger swath of colder air beneath the melted snowflakes, that is pretty much in the form of frozen raindrops, sleet. And then if you have cold air throughout the entirety of the atmosphere, you get snow. And that is something that we, of course, often see here in New Mexico in the winter. Back to you, Grant.
Thanks, Ryan. Well, our main goal in the winter is to keep you safe. Part of that is making sure you know the difference between a winter weather advisory, winter storm watch, and winter storm warning. Here's Liz with the difference.
Thank you, Grant. A winter storm watch just means to be prepared. It is advance notice that winter weather may be impacting your area. Now, a winter weather advisory means that you should be aware. This can be addressing multiple weather hazards like snow and ice. Now, a winter weather advisory could lead to some road disruption, just a minor inconvenience. Now, a winter weather warning is when you need to take action. It means that serious winter weather is either actively occurring or about to occur. Back to you, Grant.
Thanks, Liz. Well, there are actually two different start dates to the winter season. Here's Josh with the difference between meteorological and astronomical winter.
Thanks, Grant. That's right. We do see the meteorological start to winter, which typically will come at the same day of the year every single year, and it's based off the annual temperature cycle beginning on December the 1st. That starts once again same day every year, and it's easier for us meteorologists to compare the stats from each season going forward. In terms of the astronomical side of the start to winter, that's based off the position of the sun. It is focused on the Tropic of Cancer in the southern hemisphere just south of the equator, and that starts on a different day every single year, typically in the second half of the month of December, and it varies based off the length of the seasons from each year. Back to you, Grant.
Every winter, we talk about El Nino or La Nina when it comes to figuring out our winter weather forecast. That's because this climate pattern can have a big impact on our weather during the winter season here in New Mexico. El Nino or La Nina is determined by sea surface temperatures along the equatorial Pacific Ocean. And over the last few months, those sea surface temperatures have started cooling off. That's because the trade winds, or the jet stream around the equator, is pushing a lot of that warmer water towards Asia, causing some upwelling and cooling those sea surface temperatures off in the eastern Pacific Ocean. This is the forecast as we head into this winter, with sea surface temperatures expected to get about a half a degree below average. So we're looking at a weak La Nina as we head into this winter season, and that can impact our winter weather here in New Mexico. For a look at that typical winter weather pattern as we head into this winter, here's meteorologist Josh Redwine.
Thanks, Grant. That's right. As we head into this winter season, we are going to see that weaker La Nina pattern coming into play. With that, the jet stream is further north of the state of New Mexico, bringing in colder air to the north central portions of the Midwest and drier weather down towards the southwestern corner of the country. As we head forward, looking at our Climate Prediction Center winter outlook here in New Mexico, we are trending in terms of those temperatures, likely warmer heading through the next several months. And in terms of the precipitation, we are also likely drier as we head forward as well. Liz Fellinger has more.
There are several different years we can use to compare what this year's La Nina could look like compared to previous years. In terms of temperatures, they all tend to trend above normal, fairly consistent with one another. However, in terms of average precipitation, that is when we begin to see some very stark differences. In the 2016 to 2017 La Nina, we saw 3.43 inches of rain compared to the 2005 to 2006 La Nina, which only saw 0.34 inches of precipitation. For more information on snowfall comparisons, here's meteorologist Ryan DePhillips.
And thanks, Liz. We look at weak La Nina years in terms of snowfall, and compared to normal, our average snowfall 7.9 inches in Albuquerque. Well, in the weak La Nina years, generally below normal. In 2017, only 0.4 inches of snowfall. Places like Roswell, far to the south and lower elevation, your average snowfall 9.6 inches. While in 2017, you only had about a trace. In 2016, 2.5 inches. And generally, in those years, once again, below normal snowfall amounts. And in places like Angel Fire, of course, farther north and higher in elevation, your average snowfall 1.17 inches. While in 2008, you had above normal snowfall. In 2017, below normal snowfall. So it really depends on the year in terms of how much snow we get in Angel Fire in terms of weak La Nina patterns.
Yeah, so as you saw, there's definitely a connection between temperatures, precipitation, and similar La Nina winters in parts of New Mexico. The big question is, what will happen this winter? All right, it's the time you've all been waiting for, our winter forecast. Here's a look at it. Knowing what we know about previous weak La Ninas, like what we just talked about, and looking at some forecast models too, here's a look at what we think is going to happen this winter season. Unfortunately, there's pretty good confidence that it's going to be warmer than average across the entire state of New Mexico. Higher confidence once you get towards Albuquerque and into southern parts of the state. Notice how there's less confidence in the northern New Mexico and eastern parts of New Mexico. That allows room for some backdoor cold fronts to bring in some blasts of colder air into the eastern half of the state. And then that storm pattern looks like it should stay a little bit farther to the north, which could keep temperatures in northern New Mexico and southern Colorado a little bit closer to average. That's also where you'll notice that we actually have near average chances of snowfall and rainfall too, because we might get just enough dips in the jet stream to bring in a few more storms into northern New Mexico and southern Colorado. So it'd be good news for the mountains up there. But unfortunately, if you look at most of New Mexico here, it's pretty good confidence that we're going to see below average precipitation across much of the state. Now, of course, we're still going to get storms. We're still going to see rain. We're still going to get snow. We're still going to get cold temperatures. But of course, the overall pattern is looking like we're going to be warmer than average and drier than average, unfortunately, across most of New Mexico. So that's our winter forecast for the state. That's what we think you can expect this winter season. But I thought we'd have a little fun with it this year, too, and have each of our KRQE News 13 meteorologists make our own snowfall predictions for Albuquerque. Now, looking back at last year, we actually saw slightly higher than average rainfall, a little over 3 inches, but we picked up only 6 inches of snow. And that's about 2 inches below our average snowfall, which is usually about 8 inches of snow every winter. And we're going to start with Josh, who's already been in New Mexico for one winter season. Josh, how much snow do you think we're going to get this winter? All
right, I'm going a little ambitious this winter. I am saying 6.3 inches here in Albuquerque. That's just due to, the hopefulness of being here, and we have seen, drier weather moving into this time of year, so I'm hoping a slight little change in pattern. Some stronger storms will come in as we head through.
Right, and that's still below average, though.
Yeah.
Our average nearly 8 inches, and if you remember that snowstorm we had back in early November, get this, it only dropped 0.4 inches of snow at the Sunport where the official observations are taken. So these totals also include at 0.4 inches we've already seen. Now, Ryan and Liz, this is your first winter here in New Mexico. How much snow do you think we're going to get this winter season? And I also want to know, what are you looking forward to this winter? We'll start with Ryan.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the ski season. And my prediction, well, 4.1 inches. Again, as Grant mentioned, we only have 0.4 inches at the Sunport, but I'm hopeful that we'll get more snow in the northern mountains. Cannot wait to ski. Should be a good year either way. We'll take any snow that we can get, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we'd love to see the snow in the mountains, especially if you're a skier or snowboarder. That's what we really hope for. 4.1 inches, not bad, but still below average.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. All right, Liz, what about you?
I am most excited to spend my first Christmas here in New Mexico. I want to see the Luminarias lit up across Old Town. Now, for my forecast snowfall, I went with 4.8 inches, which is, once again, below average. Now, I was with Grant when we were making the graphics for this winter weather special, so I did a little bit of research on our previous La Nina years, and that snowfall trending below average just seemed right to me.
All right, so I gotta say, first of all, there's no place like New Mexico when it comes to Christmas. It's truly magical, especially if you can get out in Old Town or up in Santa Fe and it's snowing. It's incredibly magical, especially when those Luminarias are out too. It's one of my favorite things about New Mexico as well. But you're right, she followed the week La Nina trend, still going, trending below average. Now, before we get to my forecast, I gotta say, we did this forecast in-house last year, not to brag, but I did win last year. Just putting it out there. Right. So you guys have got to live up to that. A little competition out there. But here's my official forecast. I also went below average, went 4 inches for this snowfall season. So like we talked about, we've already seen 0.4 inches of snow out at the Sunport. So this leaves 3.6 more inches of snowfall to go. Not as much snow as I think a lot of us would like to see, but all of us trending below average for this upcoming winter season. I think if we average all these out, it comes out to about 5 inches, thanks to Josh's 6.3, kind of averaging it out quite a bit. But I like your gusto a lot. I really hope that we can manage to get that much snowfall. Yeah. If you remember, average snowfall for Albuquerque, 7.9 inches. All of us trending well below that. Well below that. Any last thoughts on this winter forecast, guys?
I'm excited to see how much snowfall we actually get, and fingers crossed that one of the new guys wins.
Yeah, right?
I don't know. I'm competitive. I hope I win, but, I hope you guys win too. It's going to be an interesting winter. It's interesting too that we're noticing when it comes to La Nina and El Nino that they're not having as big of an impact on our winter seasons anymore in the United States. So I'm curious to see how it's going to play out. Of course, these are our realistic forecasts, but I think all of us are hoping for more snow.
Indeed, I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I hope we all are too. Well, thank you all for your predictions. And if you at home want to play along too, feel free to send us your own snowfall predictions. We'd love to see them. But that'll do it for our KRQE News 13 Winter Special. We hope that everyone will have a fun and safe winter, and thank you for watching. You can always stay up to date with the latest winter weather moving in here on KRQE, KRQE.com, and on our KRQE News app. We'll see you next time.